Okay, welcome. Good evening from England, ladies and gents, wherever you are in the world. Please drop in the comments or the chat here where you are watching from today. I always love to know where you are watching from. Well, we have had non-stop rain for the last 2 days where I live with my wife here. So it's been pretty gloomy the last 2 days. I think it's just ironic, isn't it, that we've now come into October, the dark winter period, and we're having lots of rain. So I hope you're all doing great. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat a little bit. So this is the monthly insight. So this is Neil's, insights monthly. This is the October edition. If this is the first time that you've ever seen it before, normally we stream on a Sunday and it's earlier in the day. What I'm trying to do is keep Sunday free, completely work free, so I don't have to do anything on a Sunday since I work 6 days a week. So we've now moved it over to Saturday. And quite funny, I noticed as I set up the stream for Saturday that I have my coaching program with the private community on a Saturday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So I've literally jumped off that, quickly had something to eat, quick shower, and straight into this. So let's hope my voice holds out, if you know the backstory with that. So I think I don't really have any announcements this month. Okay, let's see where everyone's watching from. Romania, we've got California, Atlanta, Georgia, Texas. We've got Victoria in Birmingham, just down the road from me actually. Bulgaria, Radoslava, Southern England, Lady Penelope. Okay, good. So we've got people from all over, and Clyde in Norview. Great, great. Longer videos, please. Yep, that is not going to happen this evening. Actually, this is probably going to be the shortest insights video that I ever do for you, because I guess I must have been doing a good job with the private community at the moment, because there aren't really that many questions. Actually, I probably made my most detailed investment video that I've ever made yesterday. So I guess that's why there's not many questions. Again, a lot of people always say, tell us the investment stuff. Tell us. I put it all in the private community now, because the disclaimers are just not even enough on here. Some people are a bit crazy. But anyway, if you want to watch that video, you can see it in the private community. And I'm going to jump into these questions here. So we should have time for a couple of questions at the end. Super chats, always appreciated. Wink, wink, if you want to throw some questions in right at the end. No point asking the questions before I get through the private community questions, because I won't be watching the stream as much. I think that's all I want to cover for announcements. So let's get into this. I did want to say as well, actually, one other thing. As you know, I track all of this for you, and people have started coming back to the channel wanting to know how I've, put a lot of this stuff together, and talking about the acceleration, the hockey stick of crises that just seem to be building on top of each other at the moment. Ladies and gents, it's not good news, I'm sorry to say. Actually, someone said last time, stop saying ladies and gents, right? There's more pronouns now. Listen, I'm never going to stop saying ladies and gents. I'm not ever going to use pronouns and stuff like that. Sorry if that offends anyone, but I get it all the time in the chat. I'm not going to start doing all that stuff. So, that's all I'll say on that. But here's what I want you to know. These crises are not going to end, okay? They're going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. You've got to start asking a lot of questions. I got a letter today delivered from DVLA, which I streamed about on Thursday. Not a good letter at all. The thing is, they have no staff, like some of these organizations have no staff to deal with a backlog of 54,000 licenses. Yeah, I get a letter, this quickly. There's a lot of strange stuff going on. I'm not going to stop talking about these things. There's a lot of unusual things going on. A lot of crises that really shouldn't exist. Even the gas crises now coming in from mainland Europe. Why? Why? Has the pipeline been cracked or destroyed? No. Has the gas lines into people's houses so they can do heating and things like that, has that been affected? No. So what is the issue here? Why is none of this being talked about? These crises are just going to keep going on. They're going to get worse until we start to reach a pinnacle. I think now that we're getting the tapering, again, I don't care what anyone says, I'm standing by my forecast. Tapering is going to start reducing in probably November, late November, possibly December. I don't know exactly how much a month, probably 15 billion. It's going to start coming down. Still 500, 600 billion, that's going to go into the US economy. It's going to keep pushing up some asset prices a little longer, but once next summer comes in, Q3 perhaps, we're going to see small interest rate rises. Again, people say I'm mad for saying that. They're going to happen, probably 25 basis points. You might see 2 of them next year. You're going to see all the liquid and the TGA Treasury General Account and all the reverse repos. This is already sucking $2 trillion out of the markets. It's not going to end well, believe me. This is all going to end very badly. You're going to get employment scarring. Watch my video that's coming out tomorrow. It's a walk around, because I know you like those where I'm live. Look, I don't care if I'm walking around with a camera talking and people are watching me and saying, oh, what's he talking about? And when I'm talking about controversial stuff, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care when people confront me in the street or outside of a business. I really don't care. That video is coming out for you tomorrow. So I think we're going to be going into some pretty sinister events and times going forward. People keep saying, oh no, this is the end now. This is the end. It's going to get better. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Then it will get better in a few years' time, perhaps, but not the next 2 to 3 years. They're going to be a lot worse than they are right now. I'll make a video on that at some point. I'll give you the full step-by-step process of how I think this is all going to happen, how central bank digital currencies come into this, how they will, while the high street banks, if you'll notice in this, all the banks are disappearing, all the branches, it's all connected. It's all linked into these digital currencies. It will then be social credit scores. It will then be mortgages. It will be everything. If you don't have the right things, you're going to go from a period of entitlements to authorizations, where you're no longer entitled to what you earn. You're authorized by what you earn. This is the periods we're going to be going into, but I don't want to go too deep onto it today because I know I've got a lot of new subscribers who are probably like, what is this guy talking about? Is he a conspiracy theorist? But for those of you who've been watching me a long time, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, we're going to start with question 1 then. This is from Barry Abrahamson. Neil, is it worth investing in a real estate, so REIT, REIT, to benefit from short-term house price inflation rather than buying a property when the market is so high? If so, do you have any suggestions? So normally, Barry, I would say yes to a REIT in a normal marketplace where, the economy's growing and housing market's growing and things like that. Now, though, I would say absolutely not. And people always argue with me over this and say, but Neil, you think the housing market's going to continue in some countries to keep going because of all the quantitative easing being pumped in and the liquidity. You're saying it's going to keep going till next year, small increases. So why would I not get in now? Well, there's two aspects to this. Why would I not get into a REIT now? Well, a REIT is involved in the stock market. Yes, it's based on property, but it's still stock market. So would I, and again, there's different types of REIT as well. You've got to bear this in mind. So I'm talking about the major market REITs. So why would I want to get in and gamble on the future rises when we don't know if there could be another black swan event? A black swan event is when something happens to the markets, like what happened in March of 2020. We saw that major correction before it recovered due to more QE and liquidity. Surprise, surprise. They can only really do that so many times, keep it going. As I've said a year and a half ago now, the central banks have run out of monetary tools. So they can't just keep, doing the stuff they used to do. Oh, let's lower interest rates to almost zero, because they're already at zero. So they've lost their strongest weapon. All they can do is keep doing liquidity. So quantitative easing into the Federal Reserve or central bank. And this is where CBDCs tie in, by the way. So government sells bonds, central bank buys them via intermediaries. Who are these? Banks. Now, when the government and the central banks then want to give stimulus money, well, they've had to use banks to do this, transfers, or they've had to issue checks or debit cards or whatever else they're going to do. In the future, they won't need to do this. They will just, the government and central bank will just issue the money, like the currency. Yeah, that's what we'll call it, a currency, directly into the wallets, the digital wallets of people, not bank accounts anymore. See, they're going to cut out these banks. So there's a lot going on here. Far too complex to get into everything on this stream. But I wouldn't invest into a market or anything to do with a market where I think we're nearing the peak of it. And we've already seen this huge growth. We're way over valuations. I mean, over valuations was 2 years ago. Now we're way over. And people say, Neil, do you regret selling your property portfolio, a year early? So you sold it before there was these gains, 10, 15%, etc. gains. Absolutely not. I don't regret it for 1 minute. Why? Because it was too risky to stay in. We didn't know what the central bank was going to do. We guessed they'd do QE, but we didn't really know. But it was a weight off my mind. You see, I don't really care about money the same way a lot of finance people do, who talk about finance. A lot of people are obsessed, like it's as if it's a spirit of money, if you understand what I mean with that. They're obsessed with money. I'm not obsessed with money. I really don't care. I have very low living standards, and I don't go out and spend exuberant amounts of money. So for me, I don't really care. So it's a different mindset, you see. And I think that's a good mindset for everyone to adopt, especially into the economy that we're going into in the future. But so that's why I don't care, because it's peace of mind. It's a weight off my mind in terms of houses. I didn't have to worry about that. I didn't have to worry about what if the tenants don't pay? Have I still got to pay? Well, what about they're not paying the utilities? Now that's a debt for me. All these rules that came in by organizations that shouldn't be setting rules legally. Even the judges said it's not legal, right? So you have all these things. So would I be investing right now? Probably not. I think there's just too much volatility. You see, I think people should switch now over to more tangible assets as opposed to more intangible assets. I think you should start thinking about that now, especially as we go deeper into the crisis. You don't want to be holding 100% of your money in bonds, a pension, stock market, anything or cash in the bank, anything that is built on trust and belief. You don't really want to have that. Like for me, I was talking with a coaching group today about how what I'm planning to do with my cryptocurrency is I'm going to use that to buy a farm. And people say, why? Why would you use all your crypto? It's not that I'm going to use all of it, but I'll use a large portion of it because it's a digital asset. And I'm confident in the digital assets like cryptocurrencies because of the problems they solve in the future. But there's always that risk of regulation and banning and things like that. Again, I don't think it's going to kill cryptocurrencies, but it could impact them. And we just don't know exactly what's going to happen. Whereas if I've got something physical like gold or silver in my hand, or I've got a farm, or I've got a ranch or a homestead or something like that, a house that I own outright without a heavy, 80% of that mortgage, I'm going to have that peace of mind, and I'm going to feel peace in my whole spirit as well, that I don't have to worry about any of these negative things that are going to come to pass. So that's really the way I see it. I'm going to go on to the next question, and that's from Mike Knapp. Neil, what are the best business opportunities you foresee for cash flow in the coming months and years? That is an interesting one. Well, you have to think about the flip side of every coin. So if I'm going to invest into something for cash flow, I need to know it's going to solve a problem in society. So what example could I give you here? Okay. What were the businesses that did well in the last recession, the '08 recession? Fast food, dollar stores or Poundland in the UK, all these sort of things did very well in a recession because people start cutting back, right? You're not going to see, you're not going to see someone going to get one of these pink unicorn sprinkles, wappy yappy frappuccino for $10 from Starbucks, right? You're not going to see people going to the ice cream parlor. Oh yeah, I'll just drop $30 on ice cream for me and the kids or whatever. You're not going to see that as much because if only one person's working, let's say of a family, a couple, one person's working perhaps, you have to make cutbacks. You have to. And when employment scarring kicks in, businesses start closing, layoffs, people have less money to spend into the economy, GDP drops. Okay, it's a cycle that keeps going down and down and down. So you're going to see this sort of stuff. So what would I be investing into? Well, what are people going to need? Food, energy, anything like that. But at the same time, luxuries, like little luxuries that people can still enjoy, but not high cost things. Now, on the other side of that is the luxury market. The luxury market will boom during a recession. So these are your designer brands and yachts and private planes and all this sort of stuff, artwork and antiques. This will all boom because those people are not going to be affected. They're going to have just as much money as they've always had, if not more, because remember, a recession is just a wealth transfer. Not everyone is equally affected. So all of these will occur. Also, I guess you've got to think about, again, one of the things I talked about on the major investment video I made, it was all about future investments. I made this yesterday. You can see this in the private community, the links below this video. So I talked about future tech, and I went into all these industries that I think will do well in the future and that I would consider investing into. So if I'm looking for cash flow, I'm going to be looking for tech businesses, but not the tech businesses you might think about, not Apple, right? I wouldn't be thinking about Apple or something like that. They're already dominant, which means that they can only go one way, and that's down. They can't keep going up forever. Another company or other companies, disruptors are going to come in and they're going to overtake. So that's probably some areas I'd look at for cash flow. Next question is from Rob Kutch. Is it worth taking Social Security as early as possible before full retirement age to purchase precious metals? I know both inflation and the skewed CPI will limit increases in the total received. In fact, by 2030, the fund may be close to bankrupt. Thank you, Neil. I've been working on a video about this. It's probably going to be 2 parts, maybe 3 parts. And it's all about Social Security, pensions. Let's see if I'm even allowed to put it out, if it stays up. But I've been really working on this and looking at where a lot of pension funds are invested and where the money is that they talk about for Social Security and all these things, and the waves, the generational waves that William Strauss and Neil Howe talk about in some of their books in Generations. These generational waves that are coming through now, it's normally like this, a pyramid shape. People at the bottom support each layer up, and then you've got, but at the minute it's like this. It's the opposite way around. So how are these people here going to support these people at the top? It doesn't work. I wouldn't be surprised if pensions collapse during this next crisis because all the liquidity is going to get pulled out. Where's all the money going to come from to fund all of these pensions? I can't see it, and I've really looked really hard, and I can't see it. And also a lot of pension funds, they're making these very high risk speculative investments now, very, very high risk, just so they can keep up with inflation and paying out and things like that. It's very dangerous. I mean, I don't have any private pensions. I wouldn't personally. Like for me, I'm not saying for you, because I have to be careful what I say on here. even though there's disclaimers, not financial advice. But for me personally, it's just not something I would hold. Especially, I speak to a lot of people when I'm mentoring, they say, oh, my pension, this investment here, this investment there, hasn't really performed in the last few years. If they're not performing, move your funds. If they're not performing, liquidate and do something with it yourself. Learn to invest yourself. People make out investing is very, very complex and difficult. It's not. You've just got to have the right sort of community where you have different experts in different fields, different people, having guiding, things like that. You've got to have a good community. You've got to have good friends and just learn a lot. And you can really master this area for yourself. It is always moving though. That's the thing. It's constantly moving, especially right now. It's not like the days gone by where 60% stocks, 40% bonds, and leave it there forever. Those days, I just don't think really they exist, but they're not going to be the way people think they will be during this next crash, this next market crash, which I think is going to be absolutely horrific. Yeah, so if I had a big pension, I know what I'd do with it. I would, again, not financial advice, I would take it out and I would do something with it. I'd buy something tangible. I'd buy that homestead. I'd buy that little ranch, or or people might not have that much in their pension. I'd buy something with it. I'd do something where if there was just a massive collapse, I wouldn't lose everything. You see, you've got to understand everything you're doing is based on trust. Every day when you go out into the street, it's based on trust. You're hoping that other people are observing the laws of the land, right? When I walk down the street, I'm just hoping that some car doesn't just drive off the street onto the pavement or sidewalk and hit me. These are the things you've got to think about. Everything is based on trust and a belief system. That's what currency is, or people call it money. It's not money, it's currency. Look throughout history, they always die. And if politicians and central bankers can just reset it and wipe the slate clean and hide everything they've done wrong, why would they not do it? They don't care. Look at Greece, look at Cyprus, look at all the bank bail-ins. This is what they do. They just reset the currencies. They don't care. I'm working on another series for you at the moment, and it's based on, since the Great Depression series was so popular, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a series before that, what led up to the Great Depression, talk about the central bankers and what they did to actually cause the apocalypse that actually took place. Okay, next question is from Stefano Muniz. I have trouble with some of the names sometimes because we have people from all around the world. But this one says, what are your thoughts on dollar cost averaging into total market index funds, domestic and international, over the next 5 to 10 years? Okay, I think I've already covered that one actually. I do think it's all a ticking time bomb. Like for me, I really want to get into the markets. I'm liquid. I've got some, I'm partially liquid. I have some cash, which I keep in a lot of bank accounts, as you know, 18 bank accounts, although I've got less than that, and I'll stream exactly what happened there with a bank closing my accounts, which is shocking, absolutely shocking. So I'll stream that and tell you all about what happened. So I'm down to 15 accounts. But anyway, another story. I shouldn't have thought about it. It's got me annoyed now. Yeah. So I've got that liquid. I also have, crypto and other things. I have metals. Some of them are allocated metals, so I can liquidate them like that very quickly. So I am partially liquid. I can become liquid very, very quick with a lot of my assets. And I want to get into the markets. I do. There's a lot of stuff I want to buy, but it's too risky right now for me. It really is too risky. And I'm glad I wasn't in the markets as well over recent period as well, because I think I wouldn't have had that peace of mind. And also I was able to put that money into cryptocurrency and some other things like silver and the like. And it just grew so much more than I would have made in the market. So overall, I'm very happy with the performance of it. But I think over the next 5 to 10 years, I probably wouldn't, I would wait, I think. Right now, I'd wait. I'd wait until we see what happens next year. And people say, yeah, but I can't wait 6 months. I can't wait 9 months. I need to do it now. You know, I'd say for a lot of people, if you are one of those people, you just got to practice patience. Because patience really is a virtue. If you're one of these people that has to do things in a rush and you have to do it now, you're never going to have peace in your heart. You're constantly going to be trying to chase the next thing, and then, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it verbally right now. But I think you probably just want to be patient with it. Keep your funds somewhere secure, and that's the difficulty. What's secure right now? And then get ready for a buying opportunity. But of course, that then raises the next question. Well, what if everything collapses and the banks bail in? Well, is your cash safe? You know, there's a lot of red flags here. So Stefano, that is what I would think. I'd probably just wait right now. Wait until we see what happens next year. Or look, you could just get in, keep riding it for another 9 months if it goes that far. You could just ride it. You might get another 5 to 10% growth. You might do. It could be more. Who knows? It depends how good you are at investing. You could get a lot more growth, but is it worth the risk? That is the question. I personally don't think it's worth the risk, but that is completely up to each and every one of you. All right, FW. Hi, Neil. The Lightning Network seems to be doing well to make Bitcoin a super fast and cheap way to make everyday payments. Could this become a second global transaction system in the making? I hope so. I do hope so. Because obviously Bitcoin is decentralized. The problem, some of the biggest problems we have in this world is due to centralized finance. Is controlled finance by a very tiny elite. So you have the 0.0 into infinity 1% of these people who sit on these boards who control all the monetary supply, all the currency, they control everything. And as my series, when it comes out, will explain, these people, a lot of it's driven by ego. And even when they get it wrong, they refuse to accept any responsibility. That is not the sort of person that we want controlling all the finances and the money in the world. So I'm very concerned about how everything's set up right now. I think it will collapse. It's only a matter of time. Decentralized finance is the way. So I would love it if we were trying, it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It can be, you know, some form of a digital currency that isn't state controlled. I think that would be a great thing. Obviously, you'd need regulation to stop criminals doing things and money laundering and all that sort of thing. So as long as you could figure that out, and I don't have the answer to that, I think it would be a much better way to do things. And of course, El Salvador is the test case right now. It's leading the way. I don't know what it is, almost 3 million, 2.8, 2.9 million people are transacting with Bitcoin. So I think this is probably the beginning. They're the test case. Let's just wait and see what happens there. But I do think there's better cryptos out there to use for transactions and payments and things like that. I mean, Bitcoin Cash straight away is better than using Bitcoin. You know, so there's a lot of things that I do think the crypto network is gonna solve. So many problems that they are the solution to right now across all different fields. So I would like it, and I know people, a lot of you, probably half of you watching, think, oh, it's a big scam, and you hate it, and you hope it all dies. Well, I don't really get it. I'll be honest with you. I don't get why so many of you want it to just die and disappear. What's your solution? What's your option? No one ever gives another solution. Well, some people have said gold, a gold-backed currency. Yeah, that's a partial solution. That is a solution. But with the DeFi movement, this is pretty much the perfect solution to a lot of the world's problems right now. In fact, you could probably eradicate, I was listening to someone talk about this, you could probably eradicate a lot of poverty, food-based poverty, very, very quickly if you moved away from this centralized finance system and control, because there is just so much corruption. And you've got huge amounts, 90% of all the wealth held by 5 to 10% of the, in fact, it's less than that. It's less than 5% of all the people in the world. So I do think it is a good contender. Not necessarily Bitcoin, but some form of a digital currency, a cryptocurrency like that. And I'd be all for it. Again, that'll upset some people, but I would be. I don't like fiat. I don't like it at all. And they always go to zero. Fiat always goes to zero every single time. Look back, there's thousands of fiat currencies. They've all gone to zero. Okay. This one's from Aida. She was like on me today, like, make sure you answer my question today. So she's probably on the stream right now, desperately waiting for this. I haven't actually looked at the question, so here we go. Where do we keep our money safe if not in the banks or investment institutions? Gosh, this is a really difficult question. Okay, I think then we've already touched upon things, so let's bring it together. So where can you keep your currency, it's not money, safe if not in the banks or investment institutions? I think really for anyone that's really concerned about the risk of bail-ins that is being talked about, that's now been passed into law, I think for complete peace of mind, there is only one thing you can do, and that is to get tangible assets. In fact, we've got a good example from the Weimar Republic. So this was Germany that went into a hyperinflation. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go into a hyperinflation, but something will happen to cause the collapse. What happened near the end? Well, people ran away from stock market and all this other stuff, and they were buying whatever they could, tangible assets. So that was houses, right the way, and again, I'm not saying houses right now, I think they're a massive bubble, but right the way down to gold, silver, grand pianos, all sorts of assets, anything that held some value, people were just going out and buying it. Antiques, artwork. But this is an extreme example, by the way. I'm just sharing this for anyone who's really, really concerned that there's going to be a big collapse and everyone's money in the bank, currency in the bank, is just going to go to zero. See, I don't know if it will all go to zero. I think there'll be bail-ins this time. The government, in fact, here's how you know there's going to be bail-ins this next time. The UK government has had opportunities, and American government, to help out with sort of bailouts for certain industries. They haven't done it. Look at the gas industry in the UK. They actually put out a statement. The government said there'll be no bailouts for the industry. They need to stand on their own 2 feet. That was an actual statement by one of the ministers. You've seen similar in the United States as well. You've seen similar in Canada. There was some in New Zealand. I'm not sure about Australia. But a lot of the governments now, since they've passed this bail-in law, it's a get-out-of-jail-free card for them, in effect, that they don't have to worry about all the bailouts next time because they know they're not going to be able to do it. It's going to be too big to do it. So I think if I keep some cash, like I said, in different bank accounts. So I have some there, but if it was a big bail-in situation, you're not going to be able to get your money out of the banks anyway. Why do you think this new law is passed in the United States? Oh, you can only get $600, anything over $600, you need to. Why do you think that when you go into the bank now, the branch, if you want to withdraw $1,000 in cash, you have to fill in a form, you have to have a meeting with the bank manager, you have to explain what you're going to be doing with your own money? Why do you think all this is happening? It's not a coincidence. It's all connected. So anything tangible, I think, will be safe. Anything digital, I think, will be at risk. Although I'm not going to put cryptocurrencies into that classification because we don't know what's going to happen with crypto in the next market crash. If you look at all the equities and all the markets, they're all really sort of tracking the currency. But the cryptocurrency market isn't. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's like that. It's all over the place. You're like, yes, I'm up. Oh, wait, it's gone down again. You're constantly looking at it and thinking, yes, I just went up 15% today. Oh, wait, no, I've just dropped, right? You're like this that's why I don't look at my crypto every day. I look at it on a long-term thing. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in the next market crash. It's either going to go one or two ways. Well, firstly, I think you're probably going to see cryptocurrencies crash down as well, because people are going to have a lot of calls on all of their options and things like that, and they're going to say, I need to get cash right now. They're going to liquidate whatever they can. So you'll probably see that. That will then give a buying opportunity to people who have sat on the sidelines or got cash. They'll probably rush in, buy the cryptocurrency, and push it back up somewhat. That would be my best guess of what will happen, but I can't tell you longer term what will happen with cryptocurrencies. But I am betting somewhat on cryptocurrencies to get me and other people through this next crisis, as well as the obvious things: gold, silver, metals, tangible assets. You all know at the moment I'm just looking for a farm to buy, or a large homestead, shall we say. That's what I'm looking for. If I was really concerned about my money, and I was just absolutely like, I just don't know what to do, and you're in the city, get out the city first and foremost. That's the worst place to be in these situations. Go and, you might overpay right now, but go rural, get yourself a homestead or a little farm if that's, what you can do. Some people can't work from home. You've got all sorts of technology now. Satellite-based internet, and Elon Musk's company's created some, and you've got all this at Starlink. You've got all this tech coming in now, very fast. It allows you to work from home. If you can't work from home, obviously that's not an option. I'm just trying to throw out different solutions here, because Aida's asked me a really complicated, I should have looked at this beforehand, a really complex question that there isn't really a perfect answer to right now. There really isn't. We've been backed into this corner through no fault of our own as people. We've worked hard, we followed the rules, we paid our taxes, and this has all been caused by this elitist group who control everything. They're the ones that have caused this. No one, the average person hasn't caused it. It's not their fault. And I think it's quite sad, really. I do think it's sad, the environment we now find ourselves in and what we're going deeper into. So I said, if you want to ask a couple of questions at the end, this is a very easy one today in terms of the number of questions, not easy questions. Drop your questions on the stream, because that was only 3, 4, 5, only 6 questions. That beats the 18 questions, whatever it was, 15 questions I used to get. So let's see. Oh, we've got a super chat. £3. Oh, come on. You got it. £3. Doesn't even buy half a coffee these days. No, I'm only joking. Let's have a look at it. Best way to reduce capital gains tax on crypto gains. Honestly, I'm not going to pretend to have every answer for every question here. Whenever it comes to capital gain, anything to do with taxation, I don't rely on my own knowledge. What I do is I have an excellent accountants, like the best that money can buy accountants. I go to them whenever it comes to situations like this, and I just ask them, hey, look, I've got massive gains on my crypto. I've got 200% gains here. How can I mitigate this? But also, let me answer in a different way here, because I think you're thinking about it in the wrong way. I'm not looking to, some of my crypto I will liquidate, so I'll have to think about capital gains tax. But a lot of the crypto that I hold personally is going to be a long-term hold. And I think in the future, we're going to be able to transact with this crypto. So why would I want to take it into my bank account as fiat, pay all these gains on it when I can just spend it from that account. I think I'd probably do that. I'm probably looking more towards that. And I mean, we don't even know how long these fiats, different fiats that we're on, are going to last. Each country is probably going to be a little different. By the way, please click the like button. Got plenty of dislikes today. But that's what happens when you cover controversial topics. Let's have a look if we've got any questions coming in here. Yeah, his gold coffee cup doesn't fill itself, you know. You are absolutely right. Yeah. I've actually just got hot water and a couple of, well, yeah, hot water in this is all I've got today. Okay, come on, let's see. What questions have we got going on? No, I'm not talking about Brexit. Come on, let's get a question in. Plenty of comments. Oh, okay, let's go higher up. Neil, would you move to France from the UK if that was your only option in terms of safety? Heck no. I would not go anywhere near mainland Europe like France and Germany. I actually went camping. My wife will get upset actually if I tell this story, but we went camping to Germany and we couldn't get a campsite anywhere because it had just been when, I don't know if you remember, that massive rush of peoples from other places came in and we couldn't get a campsite anyway. We're trying to camp around and we just ended up staying in hotels. And that's when people were saying, oh, have you seen all these issues that have come up and crime rates and other things which we're not allowed to talk about, a certain crime on women that was going on. I would never move to certain places. I'm just going to be honest, even though this is not popular opinion. I would not move to certain places. I mean, even the city I live in, you do not want to go out at night anymore after dark. It's too dangerous. It really is. We don't really go out after dark. And I thought it was bad in sort of San Jose, Costa Rica, when you hear gunshots at night. It's just different now. The world is completely changed. It's just become a lot more of a dangerous place. I just wouldn't live in a lot of places unless it was very rural. You know, if it was a rural place, I would live there. And that is what I am going to do. We're just going to ride this storm out, go somewhere rural, ride it out. I wouldn't want to be in big cities or anything like that. I think it's too dangerous now. That cup is like the one in a Wendy house. Yeah, it's a espresso cup. That's all it is, just a little bit of hot water. So what's really going on? I've JN asking about the fuel crisis. I've already covered that on Thursday. How much oil we have left? Oh, peak oil's passed. Okay, what else? Okay, I thought you'd have loads of questions, guys, to be honest. No, okay, we haven't really got many questions coming in. Right. Super chat, here we go. Kimmy, $5. That's again £3. Oh, gosh. What's in those cargo ships off the coast of California? It's cargo, Kimmy. It's cargo. Goods and services. Products that we can't get into our country. We need this stuff in the country. It's causing supply chain bottlenecks, and that's why you're seeing rampant inflation, a part of it, plus all the currency printing. All right, I am going to end the stream there. Thank you so much for being online, guys. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all. Watch the video tomorrow. It'll be interesting. Take care. God bless.